Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your Drive Home Podcast. I'm your Drive Home Podcast host, Ryan. Doing the don't worry, this is not a boring driving episode like I was doing. Although those are coming. Those are coming back real soon. But yeah, forgot to do an intro to my latest episode with Jonathan Malm. So please check out this interview. Me, um, Tim and I should say, had the opportunity to do another interview with Jonathan Malm. So he hopped on with us, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm actually heading to a gig here. You can see I got all my gear back here. We're playing a gig tonight. It is the eve of Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you guys. If it's this episode's been posted, I doubt I will get to it by then, but before Thanksgiving. But yeah, hope you guys stay safe because it's a dangerous evening. And yeah, enjoy this interview with Jonathan Malm. Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Unmute.
What's go-
I can hear you, and I was muted, so.
Gotcha. My apologies. Thank you so much, Jonathan Malm, again, for being here. What's
Yeah.
up, man? How's it going?
Well, good. Just living life.
Yeah, I hear you. Doing another 24, right?
Yeah. What time?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, my apologies. I was trying to, man. I just got home. I completely lost track of time. I didn't have anything up, running. I actually completely dropped the ball. I can't get any of my sharing content working. I can get it recording, but I can't share it with you. So that kind of sucks.
Hmm.
Um, but it is what it is. It is weird.
Yeah.
Things update. I just did an update on my computer too this morning, so that'll do it. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming back on, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, so I wanted to kind of follow up with you. It's been a couple months since you
Yeah.
were last on. I since have actually got a copy of your book, which is a great. It's an easy read. Don't burn out, burn bright. It was man, I loved it, man. I gotta say it was an easy read, but it was hard because every sentence I could relate to it in one way or another. Like it was I found myself having a dialogue with myself after every paragraph that I would read. I'm like, because I just related to it so much. But yeah, man, it's a must get if you're in the same position as myself and others that are just like kind of you know not not sure what to do, not sure what your
Yeah.
next move is, kind of feeling just burnout and yeah, there's just so much wisdom in there, so much there's so much truth in there, man. I was just like, yeah, I've been there. I've been there with everything that was every story. I mean, it was awesome. So
That's what I'm finding more and more kind of depressing, but like we're all going through the same stuff. Like with my memes, with my books, like everyone can relate because it's like there's these universal things that we're all going through.
oh, I know it's crazy. I mean, and that was the other thing. Like reading it, like you can only take in so much of it at a time. There's so much of it. Like I'm like, well, okay, I gotta stop for today because I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's good.
Yeah.
What is that like weird statistic that like people can only take in like 45 minutes of information at a time? I don't know how true that is, but I've heard that before. Um,
I
but
mean, to be honest, there's actually like a chapter in there toward the end about not taking in too much information.
yeah. I will admit I have not finished the book.
No, yeah.
Because I'm again I really want to take it in
Uh-huh.
I got a lot of notes, just different things that I kind of wrote down. Man, just about leadership being imperfect, and a lot of the beginning of the book was good stuff, man. But and in your co-writer, is that the right term? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's the right
Jason,
term.
just this different things he mentioned, like having someone that specializes in imposter syndrome, and
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, that's how deep it is. That's how deep
yeah.
it is. So, man,
I mean, there's a reality to like the idea that people kind of assume that you're going to lie on your resume, so then
yeah,
they set the job description up to be more than what they actually need,
right, right.
knowing that like you're going to lie. So hopefully you're like finding a happy medium. Like that's a pretty horrible setup that we got going on in like
Right.
just any industry, even in the church, it's that way.
Oh, dude, and it causes a lot of confusion and distrust, and man, there's so many things I wanted to share, but it's not working here. That really sucks. But I actually do have my co-host, who's normally here when we do these on Friday nights. Tim, he's actually here to join us.
Cool.
I know he and I grew up in church together, and um, definitely he when he listened back to our episode, he's like, man, he really wished he would have been here for it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let him in, and he'll probably have
Cool.
some questions as well. We'll kind of have a little party here this afternoon. So
Sounds good.
so yeah, this is my co-host Tim on the line. Tim, are you there? He's
He's
unverified.
muted.
I am
There we
here.
go.
Yeah,
Oh man,
there he is.
dude, I'm on like two calls right now, and and I'm playing a game on my phone. I like there's like so much going on.
This guy.
How you doing, man?
Good
Doing
man.
well. How about you?
Good.
Yeah, Jonathan,
See if I can hang
Tim
my phone
Jonathan.
up here. All right. Let's see.
So yeah, we're just getting started, man. You haven't missed much. I was late
Oh,
on the
okay.
call. You know me, Mister Punctuality.
I was
Um,
trying to see if you could like resend it to me because I was hoping I can get it working on my iPad because then that way I can have
the link.
five devices running at the same time.
Yeah, how's
Both
your
my
Wi-Fi
phones, the
holding up?
iPad, laptop too. Just like make it even more complicated for me.
Ridiculous. But yeah. Well, yeah, the whole crew's here. I was just kind of talking a little bit about the book that Jonathan wrote. Don't burn out, burn bright. Um, and that's about it. Like I said, we just got started. So I know you said you wanted to be on here last time, Tim. So I'm glad you're here. Um,
Yeah, I do have a hard cutoff at 3 o'clock though. I have another meeting at 3
oh, you're
that I got to get on, but I am more than welcome to join and hang out for a few minutes and just kind of whatever.
Got a
works.
hard stop.
Yeah, hard stop at 3.
That's the business talk.
Right, right. Yeah, I was just saying, Tim. I for some reason I just updated my computer, and now I'm having issues with connecting my software. Um, so I had things I wanted to share, but they're not connected. So I'm just. I mean, this works, but kind of stinks because I had things lined up. But yeah, I wanted to kind of rehash, I guess, what we talked about last time. Just the whole imperfect leadership and everything. And
Happy Veterans Day, by the way, to
yes,
anybody
yes,
who's a veteran. Happy Veterans Day. I don't think we have enough holidays for our veterans, to be honest with you. We got the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day. Absolutely.
yeah.
Jonathan, did you serve?
I didn't. My dad was in the Navy, so
Okay.
um,
So, did you do a lot of traveling?
well, as missionaries, we did a lot of traveling. So he was in the
Okay.
Navy before I was born, then got out, and then we were missionaries. So that's when I experienced all the travel. So
Yeah. Okay. How did you like that? All the traveling. Did did you feel like you missed out on a lot, or did you feel like you actually experienced a lot more as a child growing up
I feel like
than
living
your
out,
peers?
yeah, I feel like living out of the country was a different experience for sure. There's this thing
Yeah,
called being a third culture kid where you like are not American, but you're not from the other country that you were living. And a lot of military
right.
people, or a lot of, sorry, military kids experience that being a third culture kid. My wife is one because her parents were immigrants.
Okay.
So she's first generation American. And so like we really had a lot on that. But, like especially missionary kids have a weird thing like where we like are used to like staying at people's houses that we don't even know and like
Oh,
that being a normal experience for us and just the different perspective on the world that you get when you lived out of the country. And so I went from Guatemala City, which is, you know, a massive metropolitan area, to then I went to like a tiny town in outside of like Kerrville, Texas is like tiny. This was outside of Kerrville, Texas. It was like a ranch city, a ranch town. That's where I went to middle school, and it was like a culture shock to the
is
extreme.
is that what you call home?
Um, Texas,
Yeah.
Texas, yes, not
Okay.
this place Ingram.
Okay.
That was a desert period of my life, but
Okay.
it was just a culture shock because like you go
Yeah,
from
I'm
like
sure.
having a pretty broad perspective on the world to then like you know just like where like there's not a Walmart and that's where you hang out. You drive 30 minutes to go to the Walmart and hang out there, and that's your nightly or your weekend activity, and it's
Wow.
a thing.
Yeah, I always find it interesting talking to people from other cultures, and like having somebody who is stateside, that is American, quote unquote, but like, to kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a pulse check, I guess, to kind of see like, like how was things for you? Because like, I feel like I've had the more traditional childhood, kind of inner city, suburban life. I kind of was a little bit of both. But like I feel like I can't relate, but then like I try to empathize because it's like, man, like I don't know
Yeah,
what that kind of lifestyle was like. I'm like trying to like grow up in that kind of environment, like always, and then also like even now, like today, like I could imagine doing that today because like it feels like, yeah, again, I could be totally wrong, but like it feels like everybody hates America for I'm sure they have their reasons.
I
Um,
don't think they do. I feel like
I
people do
don't. It
hate
doesn't
America
affect
actually.
me. It doesn't impact me whatsoever. Like I mean, it doesn't change my life in any way.
Yeah,
But like if you go to social media, if you go to like anything, Reddit, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, like like you get that impression that like people hate America because for whatever reason. But yeah, you still get the impression that everybody's trying to come to America to be free from whatever oppression that their government is also putting on them. So it's like you kind of get
yeah,
you kind of get both. So to kind of like hear from somebody else who's kind of lived through that and kind of grew up in that and kind of like doing the missionary, like I mean, I commend you. I mean, I know Ryan's been on a couple of missionary trips. I
yeah.
have not. I mean, I think that would be awesome to be able to experience that and like to go like see other people who are maybe not as fortunate or maybe like who need help and just to be able to help out. So it's like anytime we ever have like a mission offering or some kind of mission, uh, we do the church I go to does have I don't know if they still do, but we had several members that were missionaries that were like gone, and you only see them like once or twice a year. That would come in and they would report out on like some of the work that they were doing and like some of the impact they were making in the community that they were living in. It was like, wow, this is really awesome. Like, what can I do? Like,
Yeah.
even if it's just giving like a little bit of money. Like, I mean, if anything helps. I mean, like time or like it doesn't have to be money. It could just be time. It could just be time and sacrifices,
Honestly,
skills.
money is the thing that like is the most valuable because that's what like it's funny.
Yeah,
I was talking about this on my Instagram. They were saying like because there's this sort of movement that like people are worried that like short term missions are actually hurting the field because like we go over there, we get our pictures with the orphans, and then we build an orphanage. So we take that like that work away from locals, and then you kind of go in, and then you leave, and like there's nothing else that you offer, right? Like so
like
there's
some
this
kind of sustainability to kind of keep that
yeah.
work moving, right?
But the number one valuable thing about short term missions is that it changes people's perspectives. So if I go on a short term mission, I'm more likely to give money. I'm more likely to pray for the missionaries that are there, like
Right.
in the field doing the work. So there is value in short term missions, but it's usually in the form of dollars that are given after the fact.
It's just I guess and Ryan can probably relate to this too. Like growing up, we heard a lot about money, and there's a lot of people who don't attend church. Like I mean, my father included. Like I mean, my dad doesn't go to church. He never has. I mean, he was raised in church, but he doesn't. So I like kind of skipped a generation, I guess. I don't know. But like the whole negative connotation, like the church needs more money, needs more money. God needs your money. God needs your money. It's like God doesn't need our money. Like we need the money. Like let's say we need the resources to be able to do what we do to minister and reach out to other people. So it's like I don't know. I like now that I'm older, I realize that. But like if you don't know anything about church and like you're trying to talk to people about church, it's like and that's all you ever hear is like God is all powerful, all omnipotent, omnipresent. It's like, but he needs your money. Like I was thinking of that George Carlin skit where he was making fun of God like in the church, and it's like, yeah, it's funny, but like it's not true. But at this, but like it's like I kind of feel like it's spreading more disinformation about the church and like what it is that we really should be focusing on. And but I mean, hey, like I actually testified at my church probably like a month or so ago, and I like the pastor didn't even know, like, I got to thank him for just having enough, I forget, like trust in me to not like get up there and say something that I shouldn't say, or like, he's because he kind of gets the final say in who gets to hold the microphone. So like, but like just to be able to like say like, listen, like you like coming to church here? Like, would you like to be warm in the winter? Would you like to be cold in the summer? Like, it costs money to run a church. It's just like your household bills, like, and I don't even know how we got on this topic, but it was just like, it's just I don't mean to take us down this rabbit hole, but like, I mean that's kind of like how I feel about it. It's like, hey, it's just like running a family. It's just like running out your own house. Like you got bills to pay. Like somebody's got to pay the bills. Somebody's got to pay. Make those payments. It's not just gonna
It's a
come from
business.
nowhere.
I mean,
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It is in a sense. It is. Yeah.
Well,
But
the
yeah.
idea is if I'm working, so I mean, my dad. This is an example of my dad, right? Like my dad, he runs this. I think it's like one of like the top largest missions agencies in the world, right? And like he raises his own support, so people pay him to be a president of his organization. And it seems like, well, why wouldn't the organization just pay him? Well, first of all, that like all the money goes to the missionaries, right? Which is very different. But then, so then, okay, well, then why doesn't he work? Why doesn't he have another job while he does this? But if he's doing that other job, the 40 hours a week, then he can't run this organization. So that's a lot
right,
of it too.
right,
Is just the idea that like if you're working to make money, which we do work to make money, you're not going to be able to do the things in ministry, and people aren't going to pay you to go visit them at the hospital. I'm not going to like, hey, pastor, here's $10. Thanks for coming to visit me, right? Like that just doesn't happen. So there is an element of like, yeah, we need to raise the money so that we can actually do the work.
right, right. That's crazy. We were Tim and I were kind of talking about this on the last one about the like back in the day, you'd have pastors that did work a job. They would work at
Mm-hmm.
Ford all day, like especially here in Cleveland. I know a lot of them. The old school pastor, they would work a full time job and then pastor. I don't even know how they did that. How do you
Yeah.
even? That kind of goes towards one of my notes here when you were talking in your book about like shifting your attention on different things and how hard it is to focus on different like you're working, but then you're also probably taking calls from people who are in the hospital or whatever, and you got to go visit
Yeah.
them right after work instead of going home. And I couldn't imagine that. I mean, that my grandfather actually that was what he was. He worked at GM and then he was a pastor on Sundays and for years and years for 30 years. And now
Yeah.
you got more pastors that are just focusing on pastoring that career and which is also kind of weird. Like I've noticed that. Like there's been times
Yeah.
where like I'm not a pastor, but because I follow this kind of stuff so much, I'll be on Instagram and an ad will go through like my stories and it'll be an ad that say, "Are you a pastor looking for a side gig?" Like, no, but I see what y'all are doing, and I'm just go to the next one. And it's like, I mean, whatever. I know some pastors that also they'll go preach somewhere or do mission somewhere, and then they don't take any money from it, or they'll get paid and they just send the check right back. Um, Sorry, I didn't catch all that you guys were talking about. But it looks like he's back. uh,
Sorry, yeah, I just had to talk to my coworker for a minute. We had to get off our call. We're waiting. I'm still new at this job, and it's like my week 5, and so I got tasked with being the taskmaster, or so to speak. So it's been kind of a crazy week, but yeah, we were waiting to see our trainer was supposed to come on, but he must be busy. So yeah, you guys still have me till 3. One less person talking in my ear, so we're good.
no, you're holding it down. I appreciate it because I, I started this thing late. I was trying to get stuff done. It's actually a semi nice day here in Cleveland. We're
Oh yeah.
I don't know how. What's the weather like there, John?
It's always a great podcast conversation. But no, it's nice. It just got cooler, so it's below 70.
What?
Feeling good.
Below
Yeah.
70? I don't think it's been above 70 for like
Dude,
weeks.
It's-
It was
like
like
months.
it was like 85 2 days ago. So
Oh, jeez.
Dude.
My brother's in Florida right now, and he's like, it's 80 degrees. He's getting a tan right now.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
There have been a few times I'm like hanging out on the hammock in my shorts for Christmas, and it's definitely a different situation in Texas.
Stop it. Stop
Man,
it.
I'm ashy over here, man. I'm so dry from the cold air. I'm not even kidding, man. It's awful. It's. I think last time I talked to you, it was already hitting like 50s, 40s, and it is. So here in like Cleveland, we get hit. Man, this glare. We get hit with like bad weather every other winter. So like last winter was it was pretty mild, right, Tim? I think this winter is gonna be terrible. I mean, we're gonna have like 4 feet of
El
snow,
Nino.
dude.
It's
There's
Spanish for the Nino.
What was
So
that
John-
from? What movie was that from? Was that
Oh, that's Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live.
okay, all right.
He was talking about, he was like, I am El Nino, which is Spanish for the Nino.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, John, tell us about your book, man. I got to be honest, I'm not really a book reader, but like, I'm assuming that you do have like an audiobook of it on Spotify or something. Like, can we also listen to it, or is it just hardcover, hard paperback?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Spotify has it, but I know Audible, which is who
Okay.
a lot of people use for their audiobook purchases. It's on there. But yeah, so basically, here's the problem: is burnout has been a massive issue for people who work at church, for people who volunteer at church, for people who
Any ministry.
pastor a church, pretty much anyone, but also anyone
Yeah.
in general, but especially in a church, right? This was before COVID. Then COVID hit, and now suddenly you make a decision, and more than half of your people are mad at you, no matter what decision it was, right? Like whether you made a mask decision for masks, against masks, for closing, for opening, whatever.
Yep.
You pretty much pissed off over half of your congregation, no matter what decision you made, because it was impossible. It's an impossible situation. So we had this massive increase in pastors burning out, and the weird thing is a lot of pastors, like, you know, they weathered the storm of COVID for 2 years, and just now they're burning out because now they're maybe in a healthy place, but like the damage had been taken on their soul. The damage had done its work on their soul. So we have a massive epidemic of people working in churches that are burning out right now. And me and my co-writer didn't want that to be the case. So we think it's possible to work in a church, volunteer in a church, and not burn out. So we wanted to help people do that. So we kind of identified 10 areas of health that are necessary if you're wanting to not burn out, but actually burn bright. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of the book.
Okay. And I'm assuming you go, like, those are your, you go over those 10 areas, and is this a book that you would encourage maybe leaders to, like ministry leaders to go through for themselves, and then maybe even go through with like their team or like their other parishioners in the church or whatever, that kind of like share that knowledge and maybe like fine tune it for their own people and their own setting?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this should be required reading for anyone getting involved in ministry. Like, that was kind of what we wanted to write it for, is just like the idea that it's possible to survive, but if you do, like, the kind of the default, unfortunately, if you don't do the things, is that you're going to burn out. Like, that's sort of the default, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be that way though. It's not inevitable, but it is inevitable, unfortunately, if you don't like do the work and if you don't know what you need to focus on and what you need to change. So yeah, it's definitely something I think probably needs to be even more adopted than it already has been, which it just recently got like a bestseller status, which is cool.
Nice.
So people are grabbing
Congratulations.
the book, which is good. Thanks. Yeah, so they are grabbing the
Cool.
book, but that doesn't hit everyone. I'd love to hit everyone if possible.
So yeah, so my previous job was education agency. I actually just threw this on. It was like a
As
nice
a way to
collared shirt.
impress.
Yeah, it was a nice collared shirt. But I did work for Cleveland Schools, and that was absolutely it. For me, it feels like it's a ministry, but in a different way. I mean, it is not
Oh
the
yeah.
church, but you're still reaching out to students. You're still changing lives. You're still trying to make the best of a bad situation, you know. And
You're helping people who maybe don't want to be helped, which is a lot of times
and that's
that's a
always
ministry type thing. Yeah.
that is always. And now I'm in healthcare, which it's kind of also the same thing.
Similar.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. But even in both roles, like I'm not like directly working with students. I wasn't directly working with students, but and I'm also not directly working with patients. However, um, you know, it's still. I'm sorry, one moment. I am getting a phone call. I'll send that to voicemail. Sorry. Um, but like, I feel like that was definitely something that we were battling with middle of COVID was principals just getting burned out. And
Yeah.
it's like we gave them so much stuff to do. And like me being in a more of a support role and supporting principals and like, because I mean, my boss was also the principal's boss. So like we both reported, but like when I go out to schools and I like work with principals, like I'm there on his behalf. So it was like more or less like I'm not their boss, but you know, like, hey, what do you need? Like, what can I do to
You're a
help?
representative
What?
of their
Yeah,
boss.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so like I've definitely seen that a lot. I can't say I really seen that so much in my local church that I attend, um, but we're also not a very we're not a very big church. Like there's a lot of older people at our church. We don't have a lot of young people. There's not a lot of people my age group, uh, which is something that I'd like to change. It's something I would like to see like different. Like even our youth group. Like we have a teens class, we have a youth group, but like I never see them. I see them on Sunday mornings. Maybe if we have like breakfast with Santa or something, or like some kind of special event or something. But like it's definitely something that like it, it it's concerning because like I have a teenager, I have a 15-year old, my girlfriend has a 14-year old, and you know they're friends. But like I also have three other little ones that are growing up, and like there is quite a few little kids, but even at the same time, it's like the 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 Sunday school or the children's church teacher, like they're kind of older, you know, like they're
Yeah.
not like they're just there to kind of like I hate to say it, but like more or less like
Babysit.
babysit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey guys, hate to cut you off here. I've completely lost audio, so I don't know what you're saying or anything. I don't know if you can hear me, but something weird happened. That's why I've just been so keep going. I'm recording. I just can't hear you guys for some reason. I don't understand why, but I'll get to it. So sorry. I don't know what happened.
Even though I sort of still feel those feelings, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to act like I've forgiven you. So is that hypocrisy? No, it's just doing what's right. I mean, it's the same thing,
Right.
you talk about like a Starbucks barista, like they're not feeling so happy in the mornings whenever they're like, "Hey, welcome to Starbucks, can I get you a latte?" Like they're not feeling that, but like it's this
Yeah.
emotional labor thing where like I'm doing what is right to do in this role, right? So I mean, you have pastors that like they're not always feeling good, they're not always feeling inspired, but their job is to encourage you toward Jesus. And if they're not necessarily feeling like they're like hitting on all cylinders in their life, like what are they just like, sorry guys, I got nothing for you. Yelled at my wife this week, so I got nothing. Like what like so there's we have this expectation that like just because people look good in public means that they have to be perfect,
Yeah.
right? And it's not hypocrisy, it's
Yeah.
just being obedient. So there's a reality to that.
Yeah, and I feel like the culture though, because even people who aren't in ministry, I mean, like we look at celebrities, and it's the same thing. Like like
An expectation of
when
perfection.
when they have like dirt in their life, like that's all people can talk about, and it's like it's
Yeah.
all like
And we
you know,
like it.
and we love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of the drama. Um,
Well, that's like what we were talking before about like the term celebrity pastor. Like, first of all, celebrity, yeah, a ton of drama, but a pastor celebrity, put those two
Yeah.
together, like what? Like, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah, I
Wow.
was talking to someone yesterday because, like, in a very small space, if people hear my name, they're like, "Oh, you're Jonathan." They know who I am. In a very like, if you work at a modern church, you maybe know who I am, right? So like, he's like, "What's it like to be a celebrity?" I'm like, "I don't. That's not a celebrity," and I'm like, "That's as far as I'm willing to go because I see what real celebrities go through. Where like you can't." If you again you just got into an argument with your spouse and you're having to walk and like people are taking your picture, like of course you're gonna yell at a paparazzi because like you just are in this really tense environment with your spouse and you're trying to work things out and people are snapping pictures of you and waiting for you to look horrible. Like it's horrible. It just in general, like the celebrity culture of America is just so toxic. And I play into it because I'm interested in like, my pet celebrities or whatever that I'm like, I wonder what they're up to, right? Like but it's something that we've created. So of course, a pastor is going to become a celebrity pastor. They don't necessarily even want it, but we make them celebrities because that's what we want. We want from people. We want someone we can think is famous and we can dissect every part of their lives.
Yeah, it goes back to the beginning of every. I mean everything. I mean, excuse me. Like I mean, it's just the whole idea of having even the president, just someone who's the face of something. It's
Yeah,
not always the best um, uh,
sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
solution. It's I did want to talk about, since we're kind of talking about pastors and whatnot, and I'm really bummed that I don't have this uploaded, but it's gonna be posted on the episode, but you guys can't see it. But there was and it kind of goes back to the whole thing in your book when you're talking about you know just living imposter syndrome and living
Oh,
shifting your attention from one thing to another. Man, I'm really bummed you guys can't see this, but there was this pastor in Alabama. His name was Bubba Copeland, and he I don't know if you heard about this. It was just in the news. He had a alter ego. Well, first of all, he was a pastor, and then he was also a the mayor of this small town in Alabama, and kind of just remind me of the whole idea of just not really focusing on one thing and you split. Look, I even know guys like this who are pastors and they ran for mayor and attempted to do multiple things. I don't understand that.
yeah,
Jerry
That's
Sein,
that
uh, uh, uh,
they're
Jerry Springer. You're talking about Jerry Springer.
yeah, no, not him. I don't think he was a pastor. At least I hope not. But
He has his own talk show. It's good enough.
yeah. Well, this guy, he basically there was like a conservative blog group that outed him about it. They found out about it. He was cross dressing. He went by the alter ego name Brittany Blair Summerlin. I wish I could share the photos. I'm sharing them on here, but yeah. Here he is with President Trump, and then I gotta say, I know you guys can't see, but he's not a bad looking woman. I gotta say, he's a better looking guy than woman than a guy. But yeah. Well, anyways, the guy he got pulled over by the police. I don't know if it was for speeding or what, but this conservative blog outed him on it, and he killed himself. I guess
oh,
shot himself
What?
right in the because of the embarrassment, and I guess the pastor, I mean the church members, they've shown nothing but sympathy, and they have a memorial in front of the church, but yeah, pretty sad. It just goes to show you like. And I'm not trying to be preacher or anything. Whatever. He actually claims that this was just a hobby of mine. This was just something that I do in my free time. I don't know. Even if so, I mean, the dude's you're a mayor, you're a pastor, and you're doing this side thing on OnlyFans as text me, I'm Brittany Blair. I mean, come on. I think what happens is a lot of just weird stuff starts happening when your attention is that divided. You start maybe thinking you can do anything. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know what the mentality there is personally, but yeah, that's what happens with a lot of these guys that have. There's been pastors that commit suicide. I mean,
Yeah.
over the past like 10 years or so, just because of whether it be just a high demand and performance or whatever. Just you're doing like Tim, like I don't know what you guys are saying that whole time I was gone, but talking about like your church, like being more of a small church, like a lot of these mega churches, they're doing like 5 services, or at least they used to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stress just to have that and have it be a successful thing each and every. Like I've been involved
Like
in.
trying to make a personal connection with all those people that you have as well. Like, I mean,
Right.
imagine that. Like, that's. I mean,
Well, yeah, that doesn't happen. That's the thing.
no, at all, not at all. Which
That's
might be a good thing because then, like me and Jonathan were talking, like, then that way you're not. It's not about me. It has nothing to do about me. It has everything to do with him. So it's like we're
right.
not pointing or guiding people to a person that we're trying to worship
But
or
we are
believe.
really like, I mean, because there's this real. I mean, you know this because Ryan, we were talking about that you play on like worship teams and stuff. Like, there's this pressure of the 30 minutes that you're on stage to be perfect
Right.
Right.
because there's a pressure that like our church has to be perfect, the message has to be phenomenal, the worship has to be phenomenal. So there's this intense pressure of that 30 minutes of being perfect. And then because you're perfect, because there's the pressure to that, well, that person's perfect. And now we see them again as a celebrity. So are we pointing people toward Jesus? Like
Right.
ultimately, if people are like blown away when a pastor has a moral failure, there's a good chance they weren't pointing them toward Jesus. And it's not necessarily that some pastors are pointing toward themselves, right? But I think a lot of pastors are still trying to point toward Jesus. And then but we see them as Jesus. We see them as we're always willing to look at I mean, you see that in the Bible. You have I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but like Moses is taking the Israelites, whether, your Old Testament would be this is the Jewish tradition as well. Moses is
Yeah.
taking the Israelites around, like they're following him and he's hearing from God. Anyways, God wants to meet him up on this mountain. So Moses goes away on this mountain and then he's gone for a little while. And then he comes back and they're like worshiping
Already
this like
worshiping.
idol that they made
Already. Yep.
because
Already.
look for the thing we can
How
see
long was he
though.
gone? But like how long was he gone? Like a month?
I mean,
40
probably a
days?
while. It was maybe a while, but the point is
Couple
that we're,
weeks?
we're worshiping something we can see. So they were worshiping Moses, is really what we know. They were worshiping Moses as he was the proxy for
Right.
God, right?
Ooh.
And then because they could no longer see
I never
Moses, then
thought of
they're
it
like,
that way.
oh, we
No,
gotta
that's
we gotta
good.
see something. Yeah,
That's
I mean that's the
good. I've
temptation of
never
any physical
yeah.
thing we want to like worship.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah,
I've never thought of it in that way. That's good. No, that's really good.
Jonathan,
Um,
you posted something on your story the other day. I'll go ahead and show it on here. I don't know what the meme was from, but it was said it was just like an older woman winking. If you
Oh yeah,
and you said what when you're about to open up to your pastor about your struggles, but remember he signs your checks.
yeah.
But that's actually not the one I wanted to read. Sorry, there was another one you posted that said, "Oh crap, it's not here." It was something about
I mean that was a good one too, though.
yeah, the one it was the one about burning out. You said like when you were burnt out, but then he takes recognition
Oh,
of
he
you,
recognized you from stage.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, yeah, and that is again, it's so true. And you're already in this position where you're burnt out at both ends, and now you're willing to go even further because you have such high respect for this person, which is nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's tough because you're like
yeah,
you could even be considering leaving that day. Like this is my last Sunday, and oh wow, oh they actually noticed me for once. Oh wow, I've been there. I've been there, and I know like last time we
yeah,
talked. I think I had said that I just was transitioning out of my mega church that I had been involved in for the past like several years, 7 years, and man, I gotta say, like all that stuff. I think it was very fresh to me when we talked, but since then I've really had time to like process all that and like man, you remember things that you just kind of like you it's like okay, like the one thing in your book you're talking about like someone who's like harshly critical towards another. Like there's differences in being a critique in like okay, this could be positive. I forget exactly what how you said it, and I don't have it up in front of me, but I would be subjected to that type of toxicity. And I remember like there was one guy there was I remember there was this guy who came in and he was like a new guitar player and he was talking shit about how I played guitar and I'm like okay and like literally right in front of me
Really?
but it wasn't to me, it was right
Really?
to it was right to me, it was right to my worship leader. He's like where do you get these guys? He turned to him and said, I'm like wow. And then he actually like apologized to me after the practice. He's like, hey, sorry. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I know you're just you. Whatever. I know how you
You're
are.
just
But like that's the type of toxic dude. I'm telling you, Tim. Like this is the kind of stuff I've been dealing with. This is the stuff I've been talking about for months. That's not so present in the smaller church, but more so in the mega church. Is just I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. It's just as present in smaller churches as well, but there's less people,
It
so
can
it's
be.
less.
True.
And the pressure is less. So like
Right.
like okay, the 30 people that are listening to us play our little song, like who
Right.
cares? So there's
Right.
not as much ego that can get involved in it because you're like, if you got ego about that, come on, buddy, like it
Right.
just looks lame, right? So you're gonna hide it a little bit more. But there's just as much toxicity. It's just a little bit more exaggerated in mega churches, and you see it a little bit more because there's more
Right.
people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still there, and ultimately that guy, like, it's insecurity, right? Like
Right.
that's always why we do that. We put others down so that we can lift ourselves up because we don't feel good about ourselves until we put others down, right? Like so
Yeah.
you see the tumultuous thing that's going on in his heart that he would say something like that to put you down. And I just kind of, you got to pity people like that a little bit. Like, man, I'm sorry you're going through that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It is weird. But what's also weird is like people like that would be the people that would be elevated in the church. I always found that weird. Like you're gonna use the
yeah,
like the most just the biggest bully in the room to and it would happen a lot. And that was one of the main reasons why I had to leave. It wasn't that instance, in particular, but just
Right.
many different reoccurring things like that. And I was like, you know what, I can't I can't keep doing this. But Tim, I know you said you had to leave at 3 o'clock, right? It's 3.
It actually was pushed back to 3:30, so I got another 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. But
Yeah. But Ryan, I wanted to bring something back to your memory. I don't know if you remember. This was a while ago. I think we were talking. Um, that like we were talking about like how like I think you and I were still going to the church to the church we grew up in, and you said something about like being a celebrity, but I've always felt like even in a small church, like we are celebrities even to our local people. Like I know that sounds kind of big and arrogant, but like if you think about it, like if as just a normal like just somebody who's usually just comes to the congregation, and you're always sitting out in the congregation worshiping, like you're up on stage every week, you're playing an instrument, you're singing, like you are on the spotlight, like no matter what it is that we're actually doing, like we're worshiping God or not, like we are in front of other people like performing. And I know you and I talked about this, like yeah, it is about worship, but we are putting on a performance to some degree. um
yeah.
whether in our hearts we're performing unto God or we're performing for the people or a little bit of both, because we want to provide excellent and perfect worship to God, and not be distracting to the people in the congregation. But like if they see you up there every week to week to week, it's like, oh yeah, this is our drummer, this is our guitar player, this is our singer. Like these are the people that we rely on every Sunday morning to help lead us in worship. Like we're like the people in the congregation, they don't pick the songs. Our worship leader does. Like they pick the songs. Like the people in the congregation, they don't pick what drum fill I'm going to put in or what solo you're going to play on guitar. Like it's whoever's performing. Like they're the ones that's like on stage. The spotlight is on them. So even though we are worshiping God, like it is a very weird, complex, and humanized form of worship, and like even still, like I try to make a point I mean, there's like far and few between. Like our pastor will say, like, hey, like this last, like, hey, let's give these worship guys a hand. Our worship service lasts maybe like 30 minutes, like just the worship, just the music. But I have practice tonight from 6:30 to 9 or something, or 6:30 to 8. So it's like we practice an hour and a half a week when we can, but we put in our time and our effort, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, and this is like the point that he made too, is like these guys, they sacrifice time to come here so that way we can have, um, play skillfully and talented unto the Lord. I mean, I feel like we're fulfilling scripture when we do that, because when we don't practice, the worship sounds awful. Like it just sounds like everybody's off time, everybody's off key, nobody knows their parts, we don't know where we're going, and and I feel like for me, and at least for me personally, I feel like that's a distraction. I feel like that could be a distraction for others in the congregation that's worshiping, because like they know the songs, we've taught them the songs or the way that we play them. So yeah, at some point, I mean, even no matter, we may not be like on national television, we may not have written the next bestseller, but but we are celebrities in our own way. And I mean, even for our listeners that listen to the podcast, like, I mean,
yeah, I want to read.
sorry,
I want to read.
dropped something
I want to read something that C.S. Lewis wrote in this, the Perfect Church Service. I don't know if this was from a book that he wrote or
Does it
something.
exist? I want to go to it. I don't think we're going to have a perfect church service until we get to heaven. I don't know.
No, it's a good quote. I know this quote. It's
Yeah, it's every church service is a structure of acts and words through which we receive a sacrament, excuse me, or repent, or supplicate, or adore, and it enables us to do these things best. If you like, it works best when through long familiarity, and we don't have to think about it. So basically, yeah, it really is like you're acting something out. You're performing. You're doing something that you've rehearsed, but you're doing it in front of a congregation. I don't know. I haven't read that quote enough to really understand it, but I have seen it before, so I had to Google it. But just I haven't read the whole thing. Wow, this is actually really long. I've only seen that first part, but yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a small church or a mega church. I've seen like our church that we grew up in, Tim and I. It was definitely a smaller Pentecostal church, but I want to say we were like medium size. We weren't small. It was more like,
it depends on what city you're in, right? Like in
right.
Dallas, a small church is 1,000 people. In most places, a small church is like 80 people.
Right. We were definitely more than we had probably about a little over 200.
Everybody showed up on a Sunday morning. It would be about 200 people, and then you'd be looking for a seat. We'd have chairs lined up on the side and the back of the church for people to sit in if everybody showed up.
Yeah, it was a well-respected church in Cleveland and near the inner city, and which is weird. I don't even live in Cleveland. I'm like in the suburbs. I don't know how we ever ended up in that church, but we were there forever. 18 years we went there. It's crazy. I grew up in that church all the way till I was like 20, 23 maybe. But yeah, that's just another thing. Just the whole we talk about this all the time on here about just the whole the trauma that we experienced from there, how we just like
it was I no longer was going to church to worship. I was going to church because it was my job. And I think that's what kind of burned me out. And this was definitely like maybe 25 something years ago, 30 years, 15. Well, my son's 15, so 14 years ago then. But yeah, it was like, why aren't you at church? It's like, my wife just had a baby.
Yeah, there was this.
Why aren't you at church? Like, I just got married yesterday or last week. Like, I'm taking a couple weeks off to take some time off. Like,
yeah.
Why aren't you here? Like, I have other things going on. Like,
they had a very
you need to be here. It's like, what?
It was
why
very.
Are you calling me, asking me where I'm at. Like,
it was very like.
Whether you laugh at the end of the or not, whether you're joking or not, you are literally calling me to check in on me to see where I'm at, what I'm doing. Like, why wasn't I there? And it's like,
well, that which is good. That's not. I gotta say, I left my church a couple months ago. Haven't heard anything. So it's good that they were checking
Yeah.
in,
Yeah, I
but
mean, yeah, there's a silver lining to it.
It's why they're checking in. Are they checking in because they need something from you, or because they
right,
value you as a person?
right, and that was it. And dude, they had this like, if you're either for me or against me mentality there, and if you were not 1,000% in with the church, which you're supposed to be at least behind the vision of the church, but if you weren't like Tim said, miss one Sunday, oh, you're going to hell. Oh, you must be backslid. You must be hiding from God. It was this weird. I don't know what it was. It was almost like cultish. And they also like I gotta say, like we grew up in the Church of God. I don't know if I think we talked about this. You were in the Assemblies of God, right?
Yeah.
So, the Church of God is definitely more. I mean, it's international, but our church tried to like separate itself from weird, like they would do weird things from like where they wouldn't want to participate in like youth camp and stuff like that. And they actually hated me because I got everyone to go to youth camp in the youth group. Like I brought it up, and like how weird is it to all of their other friends and within the Church of God to not be sending your church's youth group to youth camp? Like why are you trying to make this separate doctrine in your church, even though it's under the blanket of the Church of God? Like they were pulling some strings. They were doing things weird, because just looking back, there was just, it was almost like, did you guys see that documentary Keep Sweet on Netflix?
What's it called?
Keep Sweet. It was about this church group, but it was really creepy. Mostly about,
Was it the fundamentalist fundamental Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? The like
yeah, something like that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and
I
how
still haven't seen the documentary video thing that you guys are talking about. Did you guys? The one docu-series. I don't think it was like a documentary, but it was like
the Hillsong documentary, probably right.
yeah, I haven't even watched that, and I've been meaning
Yeah.
to watch that because that sounds really good. That sounds like it's something that I would really enjoy watching. I
Yeah.
get some good entertainment
Yeah.
out of it.
I mean, it's all the same story, right? It's someone who maybe has good motives and they're getting into this, and then they start getting into a survival mentality, or they start getting drunk with their own power. Because it's the thing, like power doesn't corrupt. Power just
Amplifies are already
well, yeah, it just makes way for the corruption that's already there. So I mean, I constantly think about this when I hear about, again, celebrities like like Justin Bieber, or everyone is mad at LeBron James, or everyone's mad at all these young people. Like at 24, they do something that everyone thinks is so ridiculously stupid and so irresponsible, and you're a 24-year-old with millions of dollars at your disposal.
Johnny Football.
Everyone says you're the coolest person in the world. Everyone's saying, yeah, you're awesome. Do whatever you want to do. And then you make a mistake and people are surprised. Like, if I had $1 million whenever I was an idiot 22-year-old, I would have made the biggest mistakes of my life. Like, I would have done stupid things, because when you have absolute power, absolute money, it's gonna expose the like idiot parts of yourself, basically.
Yep. I used to
That's
talk
what
so
happens.
much.
You get these people that are like they're leading cults essentially, and they're not necessarily intending to lead a cult, but like now everyone's looking at them and saying, "You're amazing. You can do whatever you want." And they're like, "Oh, wonder if I should try this."
I don't know if you follow sports, Jonathan, but so the Cleveland has a historically known football team that is the mistake on the lake is what they call us, the Cleveland Browns or the Cleveland Clowns. But we've had I looked just on accident. I looked this up. We have actually had 3 Heisman Football Trophy winners be our quarterback, and we still have not done much with that at all. Our last one, well, not our last one because that was Mayfield, but Johnny Manziel, perfect example of this. And I used to talk so much smack about Johnny Manziel and like what a failure he was and everything. And like I used to make jokes with my grandfather because my grandfather watches college football and like he's like, oh yeah, he's great, he's gonna be awesome, he's gonna be great. He did nothing, and he just kind of like pissed it all away, and like didn't care. It was all about just partying, having fun. I watched the documentary on Netflix about him, and I gotta say, you've seen it?
Yeah.
It totally changed my opinion because number one, he owns it. He absolutely straight out owns
remember
it.
Remember when I said that I
didn't deserve
moved
this.
back to the U.S.? Remember when I said I moved back to the U.S. to a suburb outside of Kerrville, Texas?
Yeah.
Colleyville, Texas was the high school where Johnny Manziel played high
It
school
sounded
football.
familiar. It really.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds
So there is some
familiar. Yeah, but man, I mean, he like I was just talking with this to somebody else that another acquaintance I don't know, and he said the same thing. He's like I used to say so much stuff about Johnny Manziel. He's like I watched the documentary. He's like I kind of respect the man. He's like he definitely threw it away. He definitely had like an awesome opportunity, but it's like it was just too much, too fast, too young, not enough time to mature, not enough time to just kind of like learn how to be a celebrity, I guess, or like make money or whatever it is. Like, just wanted to party and have fun. He was still in that college mindset, and he got a shot at the big leagues and kind of blew it. But no, I mean, I totally had to respect, the fact that you could own your mistakes, and I teach my kids this too. I kind of made my own acronym, and I wish it spelled something, but it doesn't. It's the OAC. You got to own it, apologize, and change. When you make a mistake and you messed up, own that you did it. Own it. Yeah, I did it. I messed up. That was my fault. I did that. And apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have did that, and I don't know what I was thinking. But this is what I was thinking, or this is my reasoning, whatever it might be. But I'm to blame, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have did that, and I'm going to do better moving forward. Like it kind of takes the onus off of anybody else, because like nobody like and it kind of hushes the haters, because like they can't say anything about you, because it's like he messed up, he knows it, and he's doing everything he can to or he or she is doing everything they can to make it better. And like who am I to sit here and judge and talk crap? It's like I need to maybe work on myself. So I don't know how often that my kids actually implement that. I mean, because I have such a wide age range, but I know for me in my life, it's definitely helped me, at least personally, because it's like whenever somebody else starts talking crap about things that I've done in my life, mistakes, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, yeah, and they just shut up because they can't say anything. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. Like,
when you agree with your accusers, it removes their ammunition.
Yeah, like what are you going to say that I haven't already said and accused yeah, exactly accuse myself of that I'm doing? Because you're absolutely right. Yeah, I did mess up and it's my fault and I shouldn't have did that. So, yeah,
It happens.
Jonathan, I am definitely going to check out your book. I'm probably going to head off here now because I do have 15 minutes, but I don't want to be like cutting it real close. But man, it was really nice meeting you, dude. Really, I when I listened to you guys when you were on last time, I was like, I really want to get on and just kind of chat with this guy a little bit, because you kind of inspired me a little bit. I mean, thank you for being you. Thank you for being you. I mean, that's all we can be, right? But yeah, I'm definitely going to check out your book. If you ever come back on again, I'll let you know what I think, and I'll definitely be putting the word out, in my channels or whatever, and try to and promote it a little bit more if I can. Might be something I could maybe do, like a book study with my own people at church. That'd be cool. Maybe get the ball rolling. Some inspirational reads. So
there's a leader's guide out there if you want to use it. It's on don'tburnoutburnbright.com. So tap into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll check it out.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for coming on, man. You really saved everything.
For sure.
Because I had no idea what I was gonna do, man. I really rely on my software here, and it failed me. So thank you for being on. So
not a problem. I'll check you guys later. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one. Have a blessed weekend, and take it easy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Tim.
Later.
So yeah, he's a good dude. He really saves me when I'm on these Friday nights when we go live, and and I'll be at a 2 energy wise, just burnt out from working all week, and he bring me right back to a 10. He's just kind of always shot out of a cannon like that, which is helpful when you need a helpful co-host. I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I know we've been over an hour. I did have one quick little fun thing I wanted to ask. I don't know why I can't hear myself. But there we go. I had it turned down. His like mic was way loud. One thing that I read in an article this week, the average person, they say, and I don't know, and I guess this is anywhere in the world. The average person spends 4 hours a day on their appearance. I don't know. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know about you, but I'm certainly not spending that much time. I pretty much wake up in the morning and throw myself together and run out the door. I mean, I don't have time for all that. So, what about you? How long would it say for you? Getting ready, just or not even just getting ready in the morning, but just throughout the day, your appearance altogether, considering everything.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm doing videos, I maybe quaff for 5 minutes, but yeah,
Mm,
probably about 15 minutes in the morning. I mean, if you count showering as part of like my appearance, then yeah, there's probably about 15 minutes plus 5 if I'm doing a video. So,
right.
I mean, I guess you count haircuts in there. I guess those count as appearance,
I
which
guess,
is
but a
40
day.
minutes a week, every 2 weeks. Yeah, I can't get to that.
I could see women, especially women. Maybe if you're a model or that's your job, or an actress or even an actor. I don't know if you're working and you have to be in makeup. I don't know, but the average person, I, I I think I qualify in that, and I am, as a man,
Incredibly average, I would say.
right? Yeah, I mean, I spend hardly. I mean, brushing my teeth, um,
But is that
everything.
considered part of appearance, where it's like it's literally just like
I
not using your teeth, which I guess is appearance based,
I
but
guess I guess down the road it would be,
yeah,
but yeah, I guess if you're bad breath, I would cure that. Yeah, all of that all together, 4 hours a day, and on average, I don't even know. Who knows? You read these things and you're like, come on, who thought of this? You surveyed like 30 people in L.A. maybe, and that's why you got
yeah.
a response like that. It's so
Or
weird.
it's a makeup brand that's trying to make sure that you see the importance of their product.
Right, right. So yeah, I thought that was just a weird thing I bet if Tim was still on, he would be about an hour. I know him. He takes his time. I wish he was still on. I could tease him about it. But anyways, yeah, that and that was pretty much it, man. I don't want to hold you up again too much longer, but thanks again for being on. Um, yeah, hopefully next time things will run a little smoother. But yeah, I love your book. I'm gonna try and finish that soon. If you guys, if you guys are interested, you can. You said it's on Audible.
Yeah, it's on Audible, Kindle. It's pretty much anywhere you buy a book, it'll be there.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, please pick up a copy. Support my man here, and yeah, thanks again, my man. I just love having you on. You got so much wisdom, and I could tell that you know what you're talking about, and it's good stuff. So yeah, thanks again, and I hope you have a great evening. And
Yeah, you too.
congratulations! I saw that you have a baby coming on social media.
Yes.
Congratulations to you. Yeah, that's baby number 2. Is that right?
Maybe number 2.
Oh
Yeah, it'll be
man,
here soon. So
man, you got your hands full over there. So yeah, but dude, yeah, thanks again for coming on, and I would love to have you on again soon, my man.
yeah, for sure. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, Jonathan Malm. Yeah, and I think that's gonna go ahead and throw a ribbon on this episode. Uh, huge shout out, Tim. You really saved me there. Complete failure on my end. I don't know what in the world happened, but yeah, we're still doing this thing. We're a year in. I mean, we're making strides with this. I love the virtual, um, the way of doing this through Manycam. Hopefully, we can get the Discord server working. Um, but until then, this seems to be a pretty good alternative. So, I will talk to you guys soon. In the meantime, drive safe.